But the thing that we were waiting on was the lighting to be fixed in Space Station's room. Now that that is all solved, the game may begin, and the bans will flow. Seems we'll be starting with a Ying ban from TSM, and SSG will ban out Ace.
See, it's weird that they needed to fix the lighting in Space Station's room, because you'd think that with them playing on LAN, it would already be lit.
Yeah, no, you'd think so. I'm sure it is, in the metaphorical sense, very lit. Yes. But
joining
maybe...
Vigil and Ying will, or joining Ace and Vigil, or joining Ace and Ying, it will be Vigil. Oh my goodness. I was writing down Vigil's name in the notes, and it just stuck in my brain. Valk will also join, so there we go. TSM taking care of Valkyrie. Both Valkyrie and Pulse are exceptionally strong operators on almost every map. Valkyrie tends to have more practical application on Coastline, especially in the hands of a team like Space Station, who really do enjoy running her.
Right. So with those bans now done, the defense is not feeling too much stress, I think. The Vigil ban means that there's a little bit of alleviation on all other fronts for the defense. It gives them many more options in terms of structure. However, I would argue that a Vigil ban is actually better on Coastline. Not better than Valkyrie. The Valkyrie ban is paramount, but the Vigil ban is better than like a Maestro or a Mira, because more often than not, how long your roamers delay on this map defines the outcome of the round. So getting rid of one of the most prevalent roamers, not a lot of utility coming from Vigil, but a lot of time wasted by Vigil, is certainly very powerful. So I agree with that ban. The rest of the bans are all sensible too. I mean, the Ying is just something that some teams don't want to deal with, or so it seems. In the SSG versus Dark Zero match yesterday, we saw Ying banned every single map by DZ. Now, they didn't ban Ying against Oxygen, so this is obviously an SSG-specific thing. Nobody wants SSG to have their hands on Ying.
I can't say I blame them. And she's been used and referred to as a bunker buster style of operator, with the way that those Candelas function, especially if there's a Wamai and a Jaeger on the board. And with a Valken Vigil ban here, it will free up both Wamai and Jaeger to be ran quite reliably. TSM doesn't need to use both of them for now. They're just going to run with the Jaeger outright. Vigil also a tremendously strong operator on this map, so I think SSG making the right call. We have seen Vigil get target banned against Merc before in the past. Lots of teams will do that against him because of the way that he's able to make space, he's able to roam, and, well, just how much more work needs to be done from Space Station to drone him out.
Speaking of droning people out, Bolo in the main lobby here, playing right now, tell your friends, is going to be trying to stay completely anonymous for as long as he can, to delay for as long as he can. I talked about this briefly earlier. It really is the amount of time that he can kill off-site that aids the defenders in winning when the actual site execution comes. That's the name of the game here on Coastline.
I don't know if they've spotted the Jaeger playing upstairs just yet on that wall of punch holes, but Merc has 2 panels, 3 panels make that to try and aid him, and he's just going to fall off right away. Not too concerned with holding down that spot longer than need be. He's burned 90 seconds off the clock, and he finds some safety in the 2 bomb sites below. Double bars being the scene, obviously, for the very first round, and TSM is itching to take engagements right now. Chala, in particular, sitting on Cool Vibe stairs. He is waiting for whomever might come his way from SSG, and that's Fultz, whose drone gets shot out, it appears, giving away the position of somebody at the bottom of the stairs. The rest of TSM will have a pretty good spread around the map. They are close enough to being within striking distance of the bomb site without actually being there. The 2 lone exceptions to that are both Achieved and Bolo playing inside a lobby, as you talked about from Bolo before. First kill goes to Bosco as he takes down Merc. So the Jaeger, I guess, just being a little bit too aggressive for his team's liking. Achieved falls as well, and now thinking Nate cannot outduel Bolo, so at least Bolo has his teammates back. And a little bit of revenge. Still, the advantage sets up SSG nicely. The pressure onto TSM for the remainder of this round.
Phone calls will continue that pressure. Mute Jammer are in play, though, so that's awesome. Fultz going for an aggressive peek here, and he sees Bolo, but doesn't land the shot. Delayed reaction favoring Bolo there, but Rampy will land his shot. So the roamer eliminated, but look at the time. Yes, there's a two-man advantage, but you have to push into the site now or never as we start clicking down to the last seconds. There are C4s in play here for both defenders. They can deny the plant. As Geo gets faults, it's looking like they might be able to win it on time. First C4, and it misses! Miraculously doesn't hit Canadian, but Geo will peek and win it on the 000. TSM take the round regardless.
Tough situation to find yourself in at the end of that round, though, for Canadian, and this might become a reoccurring theme today, as it was yesterday. Those that watched the DZ match remember the amount of times that Canadian was stuck having to plant without any support, if limited support at all. And Mint won both times, I want to say. Both times Mint was able to get the better of Canadian. And now, very same situation. First round here on Coastline, Canadian tries to plan. He gets caught out and he gets killed in the middle of the plan. Doesn't even have the time to get off it. And it's his former teammate Geo who does it. I struggle to see anything that was really all that different from TSM as to how they played map control on round number one. Obviously, holding up in lobby, being able to head through courtyard, which allows you to also control some of kitchen. It allows you to control the white stairs in main lobby. It's a powerful spot to be in, and having both Achieved and Bolo able to play off of each other is, I think, a wise strategy, because they are both among two of the finest players in North America. Right. They don't tend to miss their shots, and they play effectively off one another. You saw it when Bolo was able to get the kill after Achieved went down. So with that said, I mean, everything seems to work out for TSM, and the 20-second meta ends up claiming another casualty. Time and time again on all three maps that we saw from Spacestation play and the two maps that we saw from TSM play yesterday, timing obviously being a significant influence in how the rounds go, but they decided a lot more rounds than they didn't, it felt like, and that first round, well, just only furthers the streak.
So much of that has to do with the fact that while SSG hunted down two roamers, they couldn't get the third, Bolo. That's so heartbreaking to have to go on that wild goose chase for so long and then lose it on time as a result. Now, early on here, Spacestation will open the drop. TSM, Achieved in particular, doesn't want to let the attack have Penthouse for free. That's sensible. If you let the attack take above kitchen, defending the site becomes very hard. There's a Goyo shield and an ADS protecting Merc on 90. He's trying to assist Achieved in this delay process. Bosco is alone on the VIP balcony. Dangerous game to play as the Habana. Now, his destruction is not actually important on this site necessarily. There are some walls that would be nice to open, but nothing essential for the attack. Just convenience items. So Bosco can play entry on that role. Bolo will be the first casualty. Stark contrast from the first round, and a nice second kill for Fultz. Excellent reaction there. He certainly is landing his shots, as is Canadian. SSG establish a three-man lead very early on, and with the buffer of time they have, it's likely they'll be able to extend this into their first round win.
This is actually a bit of an interesting change for SSG to reunite Bosco with the Sabana role and then put Canadian on Zofia. I don't expect this to be a permanent change, but SSG have addressed this in the past, as have Dark Zero, where they will swap up who plays on Hard Breach, who plays on support, depending on the bomb site. And there's a lot of fluidity when it comes to the roles in Space Station. I would argue that they tend to be, with the exception of maybe OXG of the top four, the team that swaps it up an awful lot. So don't be too surprised to see more of these style of changes if we end up needing Villa. Obviously, we will need Clubhouse, with which SSG will play on.
We'll see when we get to it. It's still so early on here for map number one. Good use of the gas canisters from Chala, but he gets shut down by Canadian, and now it's just Geo with a sliver of HP. Well, 25 HP, 1 HP, as the ranked community will tell you. Fultz will shut him down. It's flawless round for Space Station. Well executed. I love the patience there. They at no point got ahead of themselves. And that's really awesome to see.
It was an unsupported roam for TSM, as two different players ended up getting isolated. The first one to fall was Bolo, and then the immediate follow-up from TSM. And I say immediate when in reality it was about 5 seconds later, which can be an eternity in this game for anybody that's played it at a high level. Still, not exactly the best supported, and down achieved goes. It's not the spot that you want to find yourself in. So this is one of the problems that teams have with Coastline. And there are a couple other maps that we've seen it on as well, is that if you are not perfectly well supported and you are going to engage in a deeper roam, we've seen deeper roams on Penthouse and Theater when teams are defending Hookah, or we've seen Penthouse Theater when it's been a kitchen defense, which now TSM is going to try for the second time. See if they have any more positive results. But when you play a roam like that and you're far enough off that you can't really get to your opponent's side, when you've got a team like Dark Zero, like OXG, like SSG, all of whom have excellent entries that can make their own space and be able to play very effectively off your drone work. You look at somebody like Foxay on OXG, you look at somebody like Hyper on DZ, you look at the way that Fultz has been doing it, you look at the way that somebody like Merc can do it, or even Bolo can do it, or possibly achieve TSM of an almost embarrassment of riches when it comes to their entry. You're going to be giving up and surrendering that first pick and getting nothing back for it. It was actually something that almost doomed SSG yesterday, if you remember, because Rampy would be the first pick often on defense, and there was nothing that Spacestation would get in return. No trade, no time really wasted, no utility burned. That's a problem. If TSM obviously continue to make that mistake, they're going to start dropping rounds because of it. You need to make sure that you tighten up your roam and how those players are able to work with each other. It looks like they're doing it better now already than in the previous round.
Yeah, I mean, we're still early on, right? But they are certainly tighter in terms of their roaming pattern right this second. You also have to remember, we did see, I want to say it was Merc try to get the refrag for Bolo in the last round, but Fultz was just better. And that's, that's part of the equation here. You're going to have moments where players will just stand out and surprise. Fultz has been that player over these last 2 days of play, even though, today's only getting started. You can already tell he's going to be landing his shots for the day, based on the limited performance we've seen so far. Now, roam clear is going to be pretty light this time from Space Station, mainly focused on the west side. I think they're just trying to facilitate an Aqua take, which is reasonable given that you've got the mirror window up by Penthouse. Sometimes you can just commit to not an Aqua take, sorry, a Sunrise take / above take. So make sure you're not going to be flanked from above, but mainly focus on taking into kitchen from Sunrise. Now, the way you actually get this execution to work out for you, though, it's very important that you do get some picks on the roamers, because if you try to collapse into the site and there's still players in lobby, for example, like Bolo right now, then you won't be able to get through the kitchen door because of those footholes that are placed low on the kitchen wall, allowing Bolo a long line of sight to shut down entry.
This is a good time, I would say, being used by SSG with how close they are. I think there's only 1 or 2 more steps before they can begin to pull off this execute. And, oh, there goes a Banshee. We'd seen a deployable shield fall earlier inside of the main lobby. Chala has 1 toxic canister remaining with 40 seconds, but he's not going to be able to throw it out as he gets punished by Fultz, who finds his 4th kill so far. Command of the west side of the building right now, very firmly in Space Station's grasp. Achieved has something to say about that, though. He takes down Bosco. Bosco had yet to die, so that one's broken, and now Rampy dies as well. You can see it's only 2 rounds in, but both teams coming to blows, with SSG being able to strike back after losing a couple players to TSM. Canadian will attempt the plant, forcing both Bolo and Merc to try to get on in. But Fultz is ready inside of lobby. He's going to wait for the next call. It's Merc versus Fultz, and Merc has to adeptly dodge that flashbang, but there's so many raining down. He's also got 35 seconds on the diffuser to be able to grab it, so the objective is going to be the tougher issue. If Merc can fight through the 3 members of SSG, then he might have a chance, but he doesn't at all. Fultz obviously picking up where he left off yesterday. What is that? Kill number 5, kill number 6, something like that in 3 rounds. An impressive mark, and with it, SSG takes the lead on Coastline.
I want to say that round was a 4K as well, so well done to Fultz. He really has not dropped the ball, as you said. He's been playing amazingly well through this map, and again, as I said earlier, you can kind of just feel like he's going to keep that up for the entirety of the day. It's kind of ridiculous, really, because what he did in that round was he just walked into the site. The man walked up kitchen hall and through the rotate by the mirror window and just picked up a 4K. like it didn't even matter. And the funniest part about that is that SSG hadn't cleared out main lobby. Bolo was still in the main lobby. They just kind of circumvented that, I guess. So strange. Well done to Fultz. He has been single-handedly lifting up his team right now on the entry. Not dropped the ball once over these last 3 rounds. Well done to him. Now, apart from Fultz's performance, we're also seeing an abundance of patience and coordination from Spacestation. I have to say, they're looking really solid. Not as much of the shakiness that we saw from Spacestation in a few of their matches yesterday. And I have to really respect their ability to iron out those creases before today.
10 seconds to insertion. 5 seconds remaining.
So Hookah defense now for TSM upstairs. I'll wait to see how it shakes out, because there's a couple different ways you can play out Hookah. I imagine that with the pulse on the board from Bolo, they're probably going to put him down below. That's typically where we see the pulse play, usually inside that security hallway, which right now is at the bottom of your screen, close to where Bolo is, but obviously he's on the stairs to head back up. Security hallway, you can control it and play the office down below. That looming threat with a C4 in hand is damning if a team on attack does not do their homework. They don't flush out the pulse. They don't flush out that C4. We've seen Mozzie's play down there. We've seen Valkyrie's play down there. And additionally, with the floor being shot out on the default plant spot by the A-bomb chassis, which is visible on your screen as well right now, that is referred to as the default spot. You want a plant, that's usually the safest place to do it, because you've got the bomb hugging you on one side and the walls on, I would argue, 2 sides. Any of the defenders that want to push that either have to use a nitro cell or swing, at which case the attackers are lined up to cut you down to size. If you've got somebody playing down below, you can obviously see through the floor that's been shot out. That puts Bolo in an advantageous position should he choose to use it that way, but we'll keep our eye on what the pulse does for the remainder of this round, because we're a minute into the action.
Also love the Goyo shield contingency on the billiards table. That's a nice little feature. Right now, for Spacestation, they appear to want a Hookah execution. That's why they're taking Sunrise. Buck downstairs and Sunrise can open up underneath anyone who would be defending in Hookah, though that is rare. Usually you hold Hookah from base and Cool Vibes and the other site. But push off the TSM anchors, SSG shall. They've accomplished this to an extent. I can't do anything vertically about the players by Vase. They're going to need to confront that directly. A lot of it comes down to the individual engagements, and it's very rare to see too many picks on players at Vase. What isn't rare is a VIP run out here from Achieved. He'll take down Canadian, that's your Zofia, and almost get away with it if it weren't for that meddling thinking nade.
417 in hand, and he manages to finish off Achieved, who gets the very first duel in favor of TSM in this matchup. With it, he's also killed a lot of time, and taking out Canadian, and Canadian playing on less of a support role at the moment, well, that could prove to be a bit of a problem for them. They do end up getting the last laugh on SSG's side as down goes Bolo, so you don't have to worry about the pulse, you don't have to worry about the nitro cell. Flashbang's tossed up onto Cool Vibes stairs, and Merc will have to get out of there as quickly as he can. Both he and Geo are spotted on Cool Vibes. And now Merc absorbing an awful lot of damage. Chala with 1, but Merc finished off from Bosco. Now it's Fultz up the stairs. He's in the midst of the smoke. Chala playing the angle over to Billiards. He'll have to stall for 10 seconds. Diffuser going down. Bosco's not going to be able to do anything about it. Rampy falls to the smoke, so Chala in a 1v2. He'll creep up, but there's a cross, and Fultz has it. Fultz is just on one today, and with it, SSG's fortunes continue to rise. 3 rounds in a row for Spacestation.
Fultz is making this lobby of stars look like children right now with his on-point play. That's the key to it, if you ask me. It's positioning from Fultz. The way that he's using his every tool to his advantage and not overstepping his bounds. Right there, many players at this level might have gone for a push or tried to reposition, but Fultz understood he was unknown, and he had the cross. Patience kicked in, and he held it for the win. The really funny thing about that is the smokes from TSM side were very well placed. So I think it was Chala who was doing that. So props to him for that. Unfortunately, he couldn't clutch it out, but, difficult to beat Fultz in a 1v1. What isn't difficult is to pick up the SSG team skins. All it takes is a little bit of money. You can get them in the Siege store in the esports tab. They directly support Space Station. You can see them on your screen right now. It's the Ella skin. It looks pretty fab if you ask me.
TSM Zofia skin or the Ella SSG skin? You need to pick one. Which one is it?
The TSM Zofia skin. Now, the sleeves on the
Just
Zofia...
writing down biased here in my notebook.
I mean, like, let's be honest. The sleeves on the Zofia skin are... They're too cool. The sleeve idea is so cool. I can't believe that we haven't been doing it since, like, the dawn of skins in Siege.
The technology just isn't there.
Evidently. They did just come out with a new type of skin very recently. I think it was like altering the 3D models.
Oh, the 3D skins?
Yeah. So they can make new, like they can refresh the guns, I guess, in a sense. I can't wait for more of those.
You and me both. See if they get competitive play, because they are just gun skins. I don't think there's a rule against gun skins.
No. I mean, it would make sense in competitive, I think.
Gun skins and charms are allowed. It's just operator uniforms that have, some of them are verboten.
The restrictions.
Well, with that said, a good segue here, just like TSM is currently restricting SSG's access to kitchen. Oh, thank you.
Yeah, this is a really good hold for Achieved. He gets a little aggro there. He's just trying to make Space Station think about it. He's trying to keep them active so they don't have any, passive win on this engagement. He will get the first set of Exkyros, but the buck above will prove superior. C4 goes out. There it is. But he dies before it gets the kill. Interestingly, actually, he detonates the C4. It's just a little bit delayed. Rampy, though, very well positioned, and the roam in kitchen is shut down by SSG.
90 seconds, though, or thereabouts, was taken with that roam, so I wouldn't say it's all lost for TSM. In fact, it's pretty good timing on their part for holding out the remainder of this round. It's a double bar defense. So as much as the fight was over kitchen, it's just map control. It's not site control by any measure. Fultz, who's at 8-1 through 4 rounds, once again maintaining that 2.0 KD that we talked about from both him and Hyper yesterday in the match we casted. Well, he's going to continue to loom inside of kitchen. Geo takes some damage on a very common spot inside of Sunrise. He'll have to fight his way out. He's got the Vector to do that. A minute to go for SSG.
Seems like it's going to be a bit of a long minute here as Space Station are being very methodical. They were good at doing this in the last round, being patient with their advantage. They're going to continue that. Chala doesn't take any fire damage, but he is forced out of Sunrise Bar. Geo will be the first casualty of this site take. And there goes another, as Chala in the hallway is shut down by Rampy. That's 2 for him on the blue window. Now it's all on Merc and Bolo. The roamers, they'll have to come home to win it. Doesn't seem likely, but what a shot from Bolo. Down goes Canadian. Suddenly a 2 versus 3. Make that a 2 versus 2 with only 13 seconds left. This is actually very winnable for TSM if Bolo and Merc continue to land their shots. Bosco and Thinking Aid making the entry. They need to get the plant. There's no time. It's going to be a 2v1. It will be forced coverage from Bosco. He has to land everything, and it just won't happen. Merc stops the plant in the nick of time, and TSM will take the 2v4.
This got risky for Merc there as he was watching the common entry spot, but the decision was made by whomever on TSM. I don't know who it was, but it was a beautiful call. The decision was made for Merc to fall off of watching the hatch upstairs inside of Hookah. Merc was playing the soft wall, and he had a line of sight over towards Mudroom, which is where Canadian needed to enter, and it's where at the tail end we saw both Thinking Nate and Bosco enter as well. It's the common point of entry to Sunrise Bar, and it tends to be by the default spot where the bomb and the diffuser get planted, or where the bomb is and the diffuser gets planted. Merc falls off of that position, and I was getting a little worried watching that because it certainly seemed like he was about to fall victim to poor timing as Canadian marched in just a second later. But the call that was made was that Bolo, who was in courtyard, would push up to cover that spot on his own, while Merc would get closer to the bomb site rather than have to risk the hatch drop. With 20 seconds remaining at that time, it turned out to be a very good call in terms of strategy, and it ultimately was a huge part of why they won that round, if not the reason for winning that round, because as Merc was descending the stairs in Cool Vibes, He picks up a kill inside a blue bar. That means that Bolo doesn't need to worry about that position any longer. And Bolo can rotate through blue bar to the opening that was created inside of Sunrise, while Merc sneaks his way in to play behind the L bar in Sunrise and just simply wait. It was a very smart strategic decision. I don't know if it was called by either Bolo or Merc on the fly, or if it was something that was done from the IGLs from TSM, but ultimately that was the correct call to make in the late portion of that round, and it completely denied the advantage that SSG had despite being up in a 4v2.
You know, that's the funny thing about it. Right now, you've got Merc and Bolo with 2 kills each, and they just won a 2v4.
Yep.
It's hard to really... This is one of the little contributing factors, and there are many, why it's hard to measure an individual's performance based on their KD. And that's not going to stop the community from doing it. But if you actually want to put a little bit more thought into it, there's another good reason why. Now, TSM, once again, upstairs roam. Bolo has switched onto a dock in the main lobby. He wants to be a little bit more self-sufficient. That's what I'm picking up here. He probably also wants to have the magnification that comes with that dock. It's not as great as it once was, but it's something on the 1.5. And I think he'll probably be well-suited to holding the main lobby by himself. Doc is one of those operators that does well as a solo at this level. And I know that kind of sounds counter to his intended use, and in many ways it is, but he's still useful as a solo. 1x Gyros will detonate on that wall, and that's going to make holding 90 very difficult. It's a trade in the main lobby of sorts. Thinking Nade exchanges himself for Merc, who's actually over by the luggage door. And that's not ideal for SSG, actually, as they lose the man and the time. But Rampy will add to the tally for SSG and take down Geo. Advantage now swings in their favor.
Geo's been having a rough start to this game, and I know that his stats are the same as Merc's, but both... I mean, I'd argue that both of them haven't had the greatest of games so far, except for that last round on which Merc played exceptionally in the final moments of that.
Right.
Geo has just felt unimpactful, along with Achieve for TSM. Now, I don't suspect that this is going to last for the remainder of the match. At some point, both Achieved and Geo will wake up, and with it, this will end up being a close match if SSG are not capable of keeping with them because of all the firepower that's on this lineup here for TSM. What this has done, though, even though Thinking Nade is gone for Spacestation, is it allows SSG to take complete control of the top floor, and it's going to force TSM into really uncomfortable spots. Chala making the right call to board up Service as best as he can. He's still got 2 toxic canisters, and he's got Achieved by his side. That's going to leave the one X factor being Bolo, and we don't know exactly where the dock is going to look to strike. He's posted inside of the main lobby. This is where he was before, and he's got the long angle, and he gets smoked by Bosco. What a shot from the Hibana, who very immediately pivots over to the mirror window. He doesn't know Achieved will swing on him, and he loses it, but there's only 1 second left. Plant is going down. Chala will have to stop it, and he won't, but Achieved will with a second left. What timing for TSM? They had almost certainly going to lose that round, but just in the nick of time, they managed to take Canadian down, and the first half is essentially a reset button. These teams will go on to the second half tied up 3-3.
Beautiful play from everyone involved, truly. That's a heartbreaker for TSM. You could see they had the setup, they had the numbers, it looked like they were going to be able to lock it down, and it just, or rather, it's a heartbreak for SSG. They had the setup, they had the numbers, they looked like they were going to be able to lock it down. Yada, yada. TSM, on the other hand, excellent job of retaking there. I want to put a particular focus on Chala's use of the gas canisters, because he, throughout the first half, was using those gas canisters perfectly. It doesn't seem like he makes a bad decision with them, at least not so far. Not that I've noticed, and I really got to respect that. So props to him. Space Station had the lockup, but they didn't have control of the garden, and because of that, it was too easy for Achieve to make the rotation there and stop the plant on the long angle. I was talking earlier about how important those holes at the bottom of the kitchen wall are. You know, it's something that maybe you don't pick up on if you play ranked a lot. You don't see it probably more often than not. All of those kitchen walls are reinforced. The reason why professional players will open up those kitchen walls is because you can not only stop the push in through the kitchen door from main lobby if those walls are open, but also you can stop the plant by the kitchen window if you are in garden. So in that instance, that's exactly what Achieve did. He made the long rotation. He got the control. He stopped the plant in the dying seconds of the round. And that's great awareness there from Achieved. It's great awareness from Chala as well to assist in delaying on other fronts with his gas canisters. Good overall round from TSM.
So the first half ends up being a total wash. We saw some signs of brilliance from both teams, and I mean, the scoreline will tell you that neither team was better, but you can still get a good idea of how decisive those rounds were and whether one team was more practiced and maybe got a little lucky, or maybe just fell victim to poor timing. In this case, I don't think there was a better team in that first half, as the score would suggest, and I don't think there's much deeper reading that needs to be done into it. Both of these teams are looking mighty fine on Coastline. This is TSM's map, so I can echo the same thing that we said yesterday in the matchup of SSG versus DZ on Coast, which is, well, if it's your map and you have the favorable side, you want to be able to run away with it. Well, now TSM does. So this is where the rubber should meet the road in regards to TSM's own abilities. If SSG can keep it close here, then I think that's a win for them. And even though this is TSM's map, it is worth noting that both of these teams are pretty good on Coastline.
Their awareness strategically certainly is on par. I think that's been made evident by this first half. One thing that I find interesting is what we're seeing right now. Look at this. TSM have committed Merc and Bolo both to trying to push up cool vibes on a hookah defense. This is very hard to do, and it's proving to be a tremendous waste of time currently. I'm not really sure what TSM's hoping to get out of this, but they are putting themselves in a corner the longer they commit to this push. Spacestation are aware that it's happening and are simply delaying it, as is standard. Bosco is using his gas canisters to deny the push. There's the Wamai throwing his discs. All the ADSs are by Vase. This should be a pretty easy holdout for SSG if everything goes to plan.
See exactly what happens. Two guns from SSG looking towards Cool Vibe stairs, and I have a feeling that if SSG lands their shots for TSM, it will be anything but cool vibes. There you go. Two of them for TSM knocked down. Both Achieved and Merc off the board. Geo will follow. Bolo taking some damage now.
Whoa.
Refrags from Bolo as he lines them up, and he hits both, but a Nitro Cell will be his undoing. And crossbody karate from Fultz over the deployable shield will give SSG their very first defensive round win on their very first attempt. Look at that double duty from Fultz.
Parker, remember we were talking about yesterday? You say something and the opposite happens. We were just talking about...
you're like, this is going to be a good holdout for TSM.
Well, no. I said, did I say TSM? No, I meant SSG if I did say TSM. I meant, SSG is going to be able to hold this out. No, what I was talking about there was, I was talking about how the strategic depth of TSM earlier, and then we saw a round like that, where there was no strategy. That was evident. I'm not really sure what TSM was thinking. This push up cool vibes. That's not a strat. Gas canisters used, ADSs were in place, C4 to deny. I don't know, it was a really simple confrontation for SSG. They had every advantage there. And it to me detracts from the statement or the assertion that both of these teams have strategic depth on this map.
I was a little confused with the way that TSM wasted so much time on the bottom of Cool Vibe stairs. I mean, obviously it was timed around the Lion push, and it... I'm going to stop myself before I go any further, because it's one of those things where we have the benefit of hindsight. Because honestly, if Bolo's gunfight breaks in his favor a little bit earlier, and they don't lose the first pick, and Thinking Aid doesn't end up winning that fight as Wamai, then TSM gets very quick control of Cool Vibes, and that's an entirely different round. It really just broke down to gunfights. The strategy from TSM was flush out all of the ADSs and magnets that were in that position. You didn't have anything to deal with the deployable shields. Welcome to the 20-second meta. Everybody has to deal with this. But after that, you use the Lion, with the theory being that, well, you push all at the same time. One from the hookah balcony, two from Cool Vibe stairs, maybe somebody below, maybe you've got somebody over by Aqua, who knows? You get called into action all at the same time. The EE1D ends up being like the sound of a starting gun. Obviously, not how it happened at all for TSM, and they lost their gunfights every single time they tried to push. They didn't get anywhere. And SSG outdueled them. Gunfights break another way. It's an entirely different round. So that's why I said, that's why I wanted to stop myself and
Right.
explain why. Still, I didn't really like the strategy of it from TSM. I think that there was a lot of more work that they could have done.
Well, I would say that it's setting yourself up for failure the way that TSM executed that round, because yeah, it comes down to the gunfights. You're right, but also every single one of those gunfights is going to favor SSG just because of the setup. But speaking of gunfights, Fultz has been winning his, and he'll win the first in this round. Merc goes down in VIP. Roam clear, struggling a little bit here to get something done. It's curious because Fultz is doing that pick. He's getting a little aggro in VIP, but more importantly, Merc is going solo into VIP. There was no assistance, no refrag potential there for TSM. Just, hey, Merc, take VIP, can ya? Okay, thanks. Kiss on the cheek.
There goes one EE1D, the very first one, with a minute and a half left in the round. Just a little bit past that. I know that Merc tends to get quite a big spotlight on him, but you're right. I mean, he's playing solo. He's going solo. It's a problem. Now Chala enters largely solo. Rampy 2 big kills. He's on a rampage. He breaks double digits along with Fultz now. This SSG team, they've got the depth that they need, and both of their gunners are currently showing up. It's hard to match them when they do. On TSM's side of things, well, you can look at Merc going 2-7 right now. He does tend to get beaten up on social media for his performance from time to time. Today, he's going to need to be better. If he is, then this is a very winnable map for TSM. Another EE1D will come out with 30 seconds remaining. Bolo goes down, and while Geo assesses the body of his teammate, but that's about all he has. He'll barge into double bar, starting in blue bar, but he's got a doorway in front of him that's barricaded off. Wall shot to hell and back. Long angle. He picks up a kill on Nabasco, but will it be impactful? There's another on the thinking nade. Fultz is really low as well, but the problem is there's only 8 seconds left and no exit from the room that he's in. Down Geo goes. It's yet another for Space Station, and they are presently up 5-3.
So, appropriate timing here. TSM will call their tactical timeout. Now, luckily, since we're on land, we can go ahead and pause things. So each team gets a tactical timeout once per map. And here's TSM's. They're going to go ahead and give it a think. And rightfully so, because honestly, those last 2 rounds have been a struggle to watch in terms of TSM's attacks. I'll be blunt in saying that the strategy just isn't there. We were talking about in the first round how there was so much time just wasted. TSM lingering at the bottom of blue vibes. There's blue vibes. I smash everything, Parker. At the bottom of cool vibe stairs, or blue stairs, depending on what you want to call it.
No, you're just going to gloss over the fact you just said, I smash everything.
I didn't mean it like that, Parker. We're not doing phrasing.
Surely nobody will clip that out of context.
all right. Let me carry on with the analysis, okay? I'm gonna finish this. I'm gonna finish this. So TSM wasted a lot of time at the bottom of cool vibes on the first round. Second round, they're doing everything solo, and you can see they're trying to link up. They're trying to work as a team, but it's just not happening. TSM is disjointed. I haven't used that word in a while, so I'm gonna use it here. And that, I think that was a well-timed timeout. They need to correct it.
They don't really have a lot of time left. I know that we now just said the word time a dozen times. But
what time is it, Parker?
It's 3:03 p.m. right now
Oh, thank you.
on the East Coast,
Gotcha.
which means it is noon o'clock for you.
Yeah, noon 03.
Noon 03 right now. I think this is when you need to take it if you're TSM. Some teams do like to wait until the final round and they're on match point. Strategically, I've talked to a lot of coaches and they think that it's not exactly the smartest move, and I think that's correct. You know, Pojo is a very capable, very adept coach, and I think that this is the right call to make. Now, I don't know if it's the strategy right now that's failing TSM in terms of gun skill, because if we remove the strategic element, they're just not landing their shots. They are not winning their gunfights. The structure can be there, but if you are losing duel after duel, how much does the structure actually matter? And add to that the fact that both on defense and now on attack, TSM is sending in the troops without any of the cavalry, and the troops are falling quiet. before anybody can do anything to help.
Interesting E1D there. I'm not sure. I think it was the entry by service he was trying to facilitate. That's curious. Look at the way Merc is playing. He's droning himself in here. And generally, you'll have somebody drone the Ash in so the Ash can get this quick. And right now, this is taking seconds out of Merc's entry. He's stationary while he drones himself in. And it's because the rest of TSM is clearing out other parts of the map. There's so many other things that they're trying to get done. And they haven't clearly... Like, I'm not sure if it's they haven't rehearsed this, you know? Or if it's just... or if, you know, it's an ad hoc strategy, maybe. It looks pretty normal to me. It's a VIP kitchen clear. You're going to put pressure on the site and the roamers at the same time. They want to pinch the players upstairs and not let them get back to the site. That's why they're cutting off kitchen before they actually attack them. But I don't know. Is it going to work out? And once again, time is a major consideration here. We're getting close to the last minute, and TSM still has yet to pick off any of the roamers. They do have kitchen control, though, so at least there's that.
I don't know if Merc is aware of Thinking Nade's position. A drone scoots by, gets shot. If Merc gets the right call, well, he's going to get swung on here. Merc turns his attention one way with a minute to go. If Thinking Nade just holds this position, well, you said swing or be swung. We'll see which option Thinking Nade takes. As there's another flash dumped in front of him. He's got Rampy above, just waiting patiently, but Rampy is so low on HP. Bosco falls, and now, finally, TSM have been able to get this fifth gear. They're starting to fire up. Down goes Fultz, or Fultz takes out Achieved, and down goes Merc as well, so SSG answers back, but the plant is going down. Nobody can stop Geo. Oh, Rampy, you saw him! You saw him, Rampy. There's the case, and you can't really do too much about it. Finally, Geo is punished from above. Rampy has at least a bit of redemption, but he, Fultz, and Thinking Nade will need to close in on this bomb site, with match point being on the board for TSM. Down goes Bolo. Chala has all the kills for TSM. He's going to need to ace clutch at this moment. A 1v3. Rampy so low, so is Fultz. And LED5 will be able to tear right through them. Waiting to see if he'll go off. There goes Fultz. He'll need to swing. And there's another! How about the ace for Chala? What an incredible play. My goodness. Every single one is his. Nobody's touching that diffuser. Not under his watch. The timeout, well, it works well for Chala. And because of him and him alone, TSM take the round.
Beautiful play there from Chala. He got the entry, he helped the plant, and he held it in the post plant. The ace clutch, that is one of a kind. Well done to him. TSM having these standout performances are keeping them in the match. We had Geo clutching up earlier. Words are hard. We had Bolo and Merc clutching up earlier together in tandem. Chala's turn now, it seems. Achieved has even had his own moments. It's been a big day for each individual on TSM, but the team play has been certainly still a struggle. That was a very slow start to that round for TSM. Lots of moving parts that easily could have broken because they were alone, droning themselves in on the entry everywhere on the map. But SSG did not get aggressive. They did not force the engagements, and as such, they were not able to push the initiative against their opponent. Also, SSG lost control of blue, and it's really unfortunate that they're going to lose blue bar like that, especially given that the correct holes were open on the lobby side. That's why TSM, or it's one of the reasons why TSM cleared out over by kitchen, service entrance. That way, the defense can't deny the blue bar plant. It was a nice little feint and then jab in that blue bar, because the feint would have been probably the upstairs clear. It looked like they were going to commit a little bit heavier to that, but TSM diverted all of their top floor clear over to office and blue bar for the plant itself.
That end-around play as well for TSM was played out perfectly by the way that Chala was able to hide in ruins, because it's hard to pressure him from the window in Sunrise. It's hard to pressure him from the hookah balcony. You don't really have a lot of options unless you keep Rampy upstairs playing off the big window and then have Chala pop up, but I don't think there was any information for Space Station. I don't think they were aware of where Chala was. So you assume that he's going to be playing outside by the window, but you don't know exactly where. And well, at that point, there was 25 seconds left. Rampy was on 1 HP. I think the last thing that SSG wanted to do was stack up, but it didn't look like they have many options. Still, perfectly played by Chala in particular. TSM now keep it close. Would have been match point for SSG if they had pulled off the unthinkable, but then they run into just Chala things.
Nothing too eventful happening so far this round. Again, this blue stair strategy, but this time there's more pressure actually happening from the hookah balcony. So it's the same execute for TSM. They obviously know something that we don't. We'll see if it works out for them second time's the charm. I think that hookah balcony pressure is going to be paramount on this execute because last time it really wasn't that apparent that there was anyone on hookah balcony. In fact, I don't even think there was for most of the round. And they didn't do anything. This seems to be a setup for a rush, pinch, execute. The gas canisters are going to be the only thing that seriously delay it.
Bosco's getting really aggressive, far more so than the previous round. There will be an Ash directly in his line of sight. Merc could get punished for this if he doesn't look the right way, but Bosco misses his shots, thinking Nate gets the very first kill, but it's technically a trade tied right back. Another EE1D is burned, while the ADSs and magnets look to be exhausted at the top of the stairs. Bolts with some damage is thinking Nade's position known. Now it is. He picks up one. He knows there's another, but only 6 bullets left. Won't be able to reload as the man of the hour from the previous round marches on in. A nitro cell claims Bolo, but Chala has the position he needs. He needs to cover on a cool vibe stairs, but he falls. Geo is all on his own. Down below, he's got a lot of work to do. 30 seconds and the 417 in hand. 2 separate members of Spacestation will await him, both Fultz and Canadian. This is a tough spot to be in for Geo. It's winnable, but he has to play it perfectly. Trying to bait them out by going down with the case, the diffuser in his hands, but nothing will come of it. Good patience from SSG and a good read. They realize that with 7 seconds and 11 seconds on the clock, Geo will be vulnerable for a period of time. Down below 7 seconds, the only way for Geo to win this is to get all the kills, and he's not going to do that. I don't even think he's going to get a single one. Nobody will. 3 people remaining in the lobby, but the clock gives the victory to SSG. With that, it's match point.
Okay, so Space Station are taking their tactical timeout here because why not? It's an opportunity to plan things out and to think about what they want to do to lock this map out completely. I really don't... Listen, I know that TSM... Okay, the way they set up that execution, they've clearly scrimmed it and they decided they liked it. That's cool. I think that they need to do away with it. At least Space Station is not the team to be whipping that out on. Maybe there is a different team that will be more susceptible to that pinch strat. But I get the idea because normally when you put TSM in a blender strategy like that one, it works out because they are the superior blender players, if that makes sense. They are the fraggers. That's how people tend to think about Team TSM at times. And they tend to work really well in those situations because they do a lot of their execution in unison. But in that round, Space Station just stood their ground and made TSM work for every inch, and they made TSM hurt for every inch. And in the end, the pile of frags that came out of the engagement just favored SSG. And on top of that, when you only have one player up, there's no one to cover, there's no plant potential, dying seconds of the round, all that time you spent setting up for the strategy really is going to be your undoing. So, I don't know. I don't think this is the strat against Space Station. And as you said, Parker, earlier, and I will reiterate now, we luckily have the benefit of the top-down view and hindsight. So our perspective is different. But this is the moment now where if TSM in OT ever go to that site again, maybe they bring a different strategy.
I didn't want to be the guy to say, because that was exactly when hindsight came out, was the last time we saw TSM try to take hookah, and I didn't want to be that guy.
Right.
But now this is, 2 rounds in a row where the strategy seems to be, well, we'll pressure blue and just run up as quickly as we can and get a couple picks here. And I think it worked better this time.
I think this is a hookah balcony.
I mean, the hookah balcony, but you're funneling in through a choke point. And the thing is that SSG has line of sight on that from the back of billiards. If anything, wouldn't you think that maybe putting somebody over by Aqua to distract would be a smarter idea? And
probably.
Well, that wasn't the case because we saw 3 silhouettes on the hookah balcony. One of which had to drop down to go to cool vibe stairs after Achieva died. So not entirely sure.
It's not the play. Not
like we
versus
said, we have the
SSG.
benefit of hindsight.
Yeah.
That said, match point for Spacestation on TSM's map. This is huge. There was a bulletproof camera that was aiding and abetting Rampy's play over by Sunrise. All these reinforcements tossed out, all these barricades tossed out, all of it will try to slow down the advance of TSM, who march on in, knowing that it's a kitchen take. Merc will grab some of Mudroom, and there goes an EE1D with Rampy scrambling to get out of there as quickly as he can. And there's been a small change now as TSM can continue to push up. Goo mines from the Legion have been pushed elsewhere, meaning that, well, they're going to run into them if they haven't already droned them out. And you'll need some more drone work, as Rampy is still just constantly being pushed back and back and back. He's now made his way up to VIP.
He doesn't seem to be stressing that rotation, though. I mean, SSG has lost Sunrise here, yes. You could see by the way that they're playing, I don't think they care. And I think that makes sense, because TSM's executions have been so labored. The delay is measurable here, and I think that Space Station have read into that and are counting on TSM tiring themselves out before actually going for the execute. Metaphorically, of course. Because, I mean, it's been working. That thought process has been proven sound by Space Station on their defensive half. Wait for TSM to set up, and then nothing will come of it. So the lethality of the site execution is what's being called into question here for TSM. They're going to need to change not only our minds, but they're going to need to prove it on the field, or this first map is already over.
What is really remarkable, if you look at the scoreline and we just fixate on kills alone, there are 26 kills for TSM combined. Rampy and Fultz alone have more than that. So for TSM, they have 26 frags. SSG has 42 at the moment. That is a massive gulf between these teams, especially given how close it is. And I know it's not all just about kills, but TSM are going to need to find a little bit more. And they'll start with Bosco. Down he goes to Merc, with Chala, Merc, and Bolo all finding the score sheet. Thinking Nate will try to hold out. He picks up 2 kills, and he's got the diffuser down as well. He pivots towards the bathroom, and slowly inching up, he'll need to find his target. There it is! A 3rd kill, a 4th almost. Pistol out, diffuser is still down, but Rampy's in on this one. In bursts achieved, but he won't have any time at all. Rampy just needs to play keep away. Map number 1 goes towards Space Station. They win it 7-4.
So I gotta hand it to TSM. They get a little bit more bite into their execution, but it does not matter. Again,